Yeah.
Hi.
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 Good evening, all of you guys. All of you can hear me.
Yes, yes.
Right. Yes. Right. So, guys, anyone has been joined for the today's class, guys? Is anyone is there who has been joined for the today's class? Let me know, guys. Some names, like I can see some names. Yeah, Adish. I'll update them. Just give me a couple of days because currently just we started, no? So once the two batches, maybe today, maximum by tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I'll just complete off the batch. I will close up the batch. So once the batch was closed up, then I can share with this particular Python videos. We are in beginnings only, no? So no need to worry about them. So we really don't require up to that, but still we are in the beginning, no? So it does not require that much support is not required from my side. So just once if an actual concept starts, then we require a little bit support is required, right? So give me a couple of days, guys. We'll just make it settle everything, right, guys? So that's it, guys. So in the last session, we have been got started with the things like some kind of an sequences we have been started. So what is a sequence we have been got discussed? So sequence is going to be nothing but some kind of a collection of multiple items actually, I guess. It's a kind of a collection of multiple items are going to be there. So I have been got discussed about the first item, which is going to be nothing but it's a list. So we have been seeing a list is going to be nothing but it's a mutable object actually, I guess, a mutable, which is going to be nothing but a collection of which is going to be some kind of an heterogeneous data actually, I guess. It's going to be a collection of a kind of an heterogeneous values, what we can say that. So need not to be same type. It can be a different type, like you can have an integer, string, float, bool, whatever you want, we can use it, whatever you can use it. And apart from that, I have been discussed about something what we are going to call it as how do you do the indexing and how do you do the slicing. Yesterday, we have been seen a number of examples actually. So indexing is a method where we are going to get only one item. We are going to be getting only single item from that particular list. And slicing is going to be nothing but getting some sequence of elements actually, guys. So sequence of elements means like first one, third one, fifth one, seventh one. Some pattern was there. I'm not saying that I want to get the first, 10th, second, fourth, something, it's a random that I cannot do that. But I can get it in a sequence like 1, 3, 5, 7, something, or like 0, 2, 4, 6, something like that, or something in the reverse order actually, guys, like which is going to be -10, -8, -6, -4, -2, -1, or 0, something like that. We can come in the reverse order actually. So indexing is going to be just done by using a simple square bracket and just give the index actually, along with the list of square brackets. But whenever we are doing the slicing, list of where you want to start, colon, where you want to stop, colon, whatever the step you require. If you don't specify the step, default is going to be nothing but it's a 1 actually, guys. Default is going to be 1 actually. Okay. And we have to specify the starting and stopping, but I told you the tricks, different types of tricks I can say it actually, guys. If I simply say 2 is 2, and if I leave it actually, guys, start from the second index and go up to the last. Start with the second index, go up to the last, including the last actually. By default, if I specify the stopping, it is going to be excluded actually, guys. It is not included actually. Starting is going to be included. So starts with the 2 and go up to the last. But if I said 2 is to 6 means, I told you the trick actually, guys. It is going to be 6 minus 2, we'll get 4 elements only. What are the 4 elements actually? Second, third, fourth, and fifth only. 6 is not included. But simply if I don't specify that, it goes up to the last actually, guys. And the main we have been discussed about this here is how to do the indexing from 0 to n-1, that is from left to right, and how to do it from right to left actually, guys. From right to left, it is going to be nothing but it's like -1 to which is going to be nothing but it's a -n actually. So I told you some tips and tricks actually, guys. Where you want to start? I want to start from so and so index. How many elements you require? So just simply that index plus that many elements actually. And if you know the positive index, how to find the negative index? If you know the negative index, how to find the positive index? It's very simple. If you know the positive index, to find out the negative index mean, you know that it is from at which index from left to right. Now, how to find out it is from right to left actually? So I have told you some different tricks and tips I have been got discussed about that. So let us say some elements are there, like we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, some elements actually, that's 50, 60, something like 70, 80, 90, 100 actually. So I told you about this particular application actually. For example, except the first one, except the last one. I told you, you can play with them actually, guys. Except the first and except the last remaining, we want to get it actually, guys. How do you do it actually? Start from the first. I'm not saying that I want to get these many elements actually. Okay, that also we can write it. But I'm just going to say that instead of writing that 1:9, I know that there are 10 elements are there. I want to get the 8 elements, you can get it. We know how many elements are there actually, guys. We know how many elements are going to be there. But in the case, if you don't know how many elements are going to be there, then what we are going to be gets doing this actually, guys. In that case, simply what we are going to say that 1:2 minus 1 actually. So it is going to be start from the first index, leaving the first one, that is leaving the 0, and go up to the last one, except the last one actually. So except the first and except the last, remaining will come actually. So we'll get this result will come actually. If you want to get it in the reverse order, I told you the technique actually, same procedure. But same output, I want to get in reverse order. So in that case, we have to start from -2, right? Easy. Which one is going to be easy? We can try it actually, guys. -2 to, which is going to be nothing but 0. -2 to 0. If I don't give the 0, it includes the 0 also. So -2 to 0 with a step off, which is going to be -1 actually, guys. So like this, you can just try your own kind of an examples, and which we can see that kind of an applications actually, guys. So that is one of the thing which we are going to be gets working with them. Just give me a minute once, guys. Just give me a minute, guys. Just give me a minute. I'll be back. Yeah, guys. Let's continue, guys. So yeah. So as I told you, guys, you can just play with them. You can just install the software. So the software is going to be a very small software actually, guys. It does not even does not takes much load. Just at 30 MB space actually, guys. It's hardly it is going to be 30 MB space. It is going to be. You can just work on that, and we can handle. We can do it actually, guys. So you can create a list. Actually, today we are creating a list in a complicated way actually, guys. We are just creating in a complicated way. But in the overall next coming sessions, it becomes very easy. Means I can create that particular list in a very easiest way actually. So now being we are at the beginning level, I'm creating it a little bit manually like this actually, guys. Something like X is equivalent to something like I said, which is going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and it is going to be 70, 80, which is going to be 90 and 100. But when it comes to the actual applications, I don't create like this also. So for that also, I have some lot of techniques are there, which we are going to do it in a very easy way. We are going to be doing it actually. So once again, except the first and except the last, I want to get the elements. If you want, just let me check with the length of the X. Let me check the type of the X actually. So length of the X is going to be 10, and the length is going to be, that particular class is going to be nothing but it's a list class. So except the first and except the last. Normally, if I know the size, I can say that start with the 1 and I know that there are 10 elements are there. So excluding the remaining 2, remaining 8 I have to get. So I'll say that 1:9. That is one trick actually. But I don't know how many elements are there. Then we are going to do like this actually, which is going to be x of, which is going to be something like n 1:-1, what we can say it actually. X of 1:-1. So start from the first index, except the last remaining elements you want to get it. Now I want to get it in the reverse order actually. How do you get it in the reverse order actually, guys? X of, which is going to be nothing but, yes, just give me a minute once, guys. Yes, yeah, I can see some name like Bablu. Have you joined today's class, Bablu? Bablu Gupta, right? Have you joined for the today's class? I think your mic was not available. Okay, fine, guys. Okay, right. So which is going to be x of what we are going to be doing it actually, guys. So I want to get in reverse order. Reverse order means I want to start from the last but one actually. So how do you do it actually? So that is a trick actually, guys. It is going to be starts with which is going to be nothing but the ninth element. I have to start with that, which is going to be, I can say 8. It is going to be no x is to no. Whenever I said x is to reverse order means I'm not talking about all elements in the reverse order, guys. This result in the reverse order. So if I want to get this result in the reverse order, then we are going to say that it is -2 because I want to start from here and I want to go up to here only, not including this. That's why we have to say -2:0 colon, which is going to be -1 actually, guys. So the same result, I'm going to get it in the reverse order. You know that if I don't specify the stopping index, if I don't specify that, -2 is to start from the here and go up to the beginning actually. So 10 is also going to be included actually. If you want to get the total elements in the reverse order, then your point is correct. It is colon -1, which we are going to be getting the elements. When I said -1, as I told you, know, when you said +1, if I don't specify the starting, it is beginning of the list. And at the end of the list, if I say -1, start from the last and goes up to the beginning actually, including the last and including the first. Everything is going to be gets included. It's only comes with a practice, guys. How much if I discuss it also, it depends on your own practice and your own understanding only depends about that. So you know the concept, you understood the concept, try with your own examples. If you have any doubt, let me know. I'm going to explain that particular applications. Okay. It is going to be x is to -1. Absolutely. It is going to be x is to -1 actually, guys. If you want, you can write it also actually, guys. That is up to you. If you want, you can write in the same example in a different way. X of 6, I said that. So whenever I know that it is the sixth element, the sixth index from the left to right. What is it index from right to left actually? I know that there are 6 elements are there. It is going to be x of, which is going to be 6 minus 10, which is going to be, I can say that it is -4. It is going to be nothing but -4 actually. Absolutely, guys. Okay. For example, if I said x of, which is going to be -6 actually. Now, if I want to know if I know the negative index, it is from right to left, it is going to be nothing but 6th element it is. Now, what is the position from left to right actually? It is -6 plus 10 actually, guys. It is x of 4 it is going to become. But result is different actually, guys. X of -4 is 70, x of 4 is going to be 50 actually, guys. A lot of difference is going to be there actually. But results are same, -6 or 4, 6 and -4, both of them are going to be the same. Provided if the length is going to be 10. If the length is 11, the different, that they will get a different results. Okay. So if the length is 50, then the result is not going to be the same actually. Okay. Provided if the length is going to be the 10, then 6 and -4 is the same. -6 and +4 is going to be the same. -2 and 8 is going to be the same. And -8 and 2 is going to be the same actually. Provided if the length is going to be 10 actually. Okay. So that is going to be one of the ideas which we can talk about them, guys. Okay. So that's it from my side, guys, about this particular the indexing concept, and which is going to be nothing but this concept of slicing concept actually, guys. So anyone, guys, any questions? If you have any questions, guys, you can just unmute yourself and you can speak. Otherwise, if you have any problem with your audio or a mic, you can just send the text messages. So you can just chat it, guys. You can just put your text in the chat so that I can explain you the concept. Any questions, guys? Anyone? So feel free to discuss, guys. Don't hesitate to raise any questions. So don't think that there are going to be small it does not matter actually. It should be like an interactive class. It's not like something like a video class. For example, if it is a video class is there, you can't interact. So just the video will be playing. You have to just listen. If you have any doubts later, you have to just mail them or message them. You have to do that. But it is going to be live interactive class actually. So you can just directly you can understand, you can speak. It's like should be an interactive session. It should be there. It's like a classroom training on. Right. If anybody having a questions, guys, we'll have a discussion about that, and then we'll move ahead to the next topic actually. Right. Fine.
Okay.
Right, guys. Now, so now the thing is actually, guys, -2 is 2 minus 1. Okay, how it works behind this? How work behind this actually? Okay, -2 is 2, which is going to be -1 actually, guys. X of -2 is 2 minus 1. So this is what the question has been asked. Okay, first let me write the x first. So x of -2 is 2, which is going to be -1 actually. So what is the question here now? So it is going to be, you're asking for -2. So -2 means start from the last but one position. This is -1, this is -2. So start from the right hand side. Start from the right hand side, you start from here now. You didn't specify the ending position. Ending position, if I don't specify, mean either it will goes to the beginning or either it will goes to the end. That depends on the step actually, guys. That depends on the step actually. So you are asking to start from here, go up to the end beginning or go up to the end, depends on the step. You specified that it is -1 actually, guys. So start from here, take a step of -1. So 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. For example, in the same case, if I provide +1 actually, guys, then in that case, what will happen actually, guys? It starts from 90 and it is going to take the step of +1 actually. So it will go up to 100 only. So whenever I specified +1, output is going to be 90 and 100 will be the result. If I said -1, then the result is going to be nothing but you are taking a negative step actually, guys. You are moving towards the left hand side. If it is +1, you will move to the right hand side actually, guys, like this. 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. So the outcome is going to be comes like this actually, guys. Fine. Is it fine? Yeah, fine. Fine. Right, like this. So that is going to be how we are going to be gets working with this kind of an applications actually. Okay. So the next concept we have to discuss actually, guys. The next concept which we have to discuss is, whenever I said something like, observe carefully, guys. You know, X is a list actually, guys. You have studied how to do that splitting. Sorry, how to do that particular indexing and slicing. We have been done. Now there is going to be something called as an X dot. Observe carefully, guys. Whenever I said which is going to be X dot actually, guys, X dot. Can you see there are going to be some names are going to be gets coming actually, guys. There are going to be some names are going to be gets coming actually. Some names are going to be gets coming actually. So see something like append, clear, copy, count, extend, index, insert, pop, remove, reverse. We are going to be getting all these kind of methods we are going to be getting actually, guys. These are nothing but what we are going to call it as methods. So first of all, if you want to understand what is a method, and one more thing is, whenever I said which is going to be, whenever I said what is going to be the type of the X, we are going to be getting something like n, which is going to be a class called as a list class. So even not only that, when I said I equals to 10, and whenever I said which is going to be the type of the I, actually we expected that it is an integer data type. But in the place of the integer data type, it is not saying that data type integer. It is saying that it is a class which is going to be integer actually. It is saying that it is going to be class integer. It is going to be talking about that. So why that particular name called as n, which is going to be, why we are getting that particular name, what we are going to be gets calling it as n, which is going to be the class is coming actually. Why that particular class, why that particular name class is going to be gets coming actually, guys. So to understand this, we have to first understand what do you mean to say an object-oriented programming. As part of the introduction classes, I told you Python is going to follow, which is going to be an object-oriented style of program. Python follows, which is going to be an object-oriented style of programming actually, yes. So whenever I said object oriented, immediately some people will get a lot of confusion actually. So and they will be worrying about that, saying that I have to learn object oriented, because everybody has been faced that particular problem actually. Initially, nobody understands object oriented in the first discussion. Whenever you started learning object oriented, immediately in the first discussion only, you can't understand what is object oriented. There is a really a lot of confusion. So sometimes they say it is a public, protected, okay, private, something. It's a really object oriented is really a lot of confusion actually. Unless and until the person understands the real concept, he cannot really control and he can really understand that particular concept actually. He should be having a complete control, means completely they should do a lot of examples that they have to understand all the particular concept. So they will say within the class, outside the class. Private means it is only within the class, not outside the class. Protected means which is going to be within the class and within its shared class. Public means within the class as well as any class. There is a lot of confusion is there. And even some guys, that means some people may not be here, they may hear about that, but they have never seen that object oriented programming style. Like computer science engineering people, IT, those people will learn Java. But some people who comes from the non-IT backgrounds or not non-CSC branches, etc., they may be having an idea about Java. Sorry, they may be having an idea about a C, but they may not be having the idea about which is going to be like this object oriented and all these things. They may not be aware about that. So to understand this concept, we have to understand a little bit concept of object orientedness. It's mandatory. And one more thing is, don't worry guys, don't worry. That means you need not to become an expert in this object oriented. So, and you need not to study all that complete object oriented concepts. It's not required. It's not going to be required in deep into the object oriented. I'm only saying that we have to just understand the style of object oriented. Some terminologies, guys. 3-4 terminologies are there actually, guys. If you study that, that is going to be sufficient to understand or to work with this particular the Python concepts. Python also is an object oriented programming, guys. If you want to go deep into the Python, as already told you, we are not going into deep into the Python because we are here not to become a Python experts actually, guys. We are not here to become a Python experts. So we are not here to become an experts on Python actually. We are learning Python. We are going to be learning Python only to use that particular Python to implement our machine learning and to implement our machine learning and that particular data science related concepts. It's only that one actually, but not something like an we can't become a data science expert. Sorry, we don't become a Python experts and all these things actually. So little bit idea, guys, little bit idea about that. I'll try to make it maximum. I just want to try it maximum. I'm going to be doing that. I'll try to make it maximize to make you understand what is this concept of object oriented style of programming. So listen guys, it's not a mandatory that you have to become an expert, but I'm going to be making you try to understand what exactly which is going to be nothing but what we are going to be talking about, that particular the object oriented style of programming actually. You just has to understand that. We have to just understand only that particular the concept of that particular applications. You really need not to go for the implementation actually. We really need not to go to the implementation. We have to just understand only up to the concept about the object oriented style. Okay, so I'll try to make it we want to take it some basic ideas about them. So it's not a mandatory, yes, it's not a mandatory to learn it. But if you understand this concept, then understanding this all the methods, because see, sometimes I'm saying that it is a method, sometimes I'll say it is a function. So a little bit confusion. You can't connect those particular points. If you want to really connect those particular points, we have to have some idea about how we are going to be working with them. So the object oriented style of programming. I'm not teaching any programming language here, guys. I'm not going to teach you any programming language here now. I'm only just going to teach you some concepts of object oriented style of programming, how the object oriented comes, how generally we are going to work, and all these things we'll have a look into. Okay. So have a discussion, guys. I can share you some extra blogs and some extra materials to you, so that if you don't understand, you can just go for a little bit more, more and more explorations we can do actually. So as you know that OOPS, which is going to be nothing but what we are going to call it as an object oriented, which is going to be an object oriented, which is going to be a programming structure. It is an object oriented programming structure actually, guys. Nowadays, we are hearing about this object oriented very, very frequently. Then before object oriented, what type of language, what type of structures we used to have? We used to have something like an procedural languages. We used to have it actually. It's going to be nothing but a procedural style of programming. We used to have it actually. It's a procedural style of programming actually, yes. The best example of a procedural style of programming is going to be nothing but C language. Maybe when you started learning the C language, in the first class, they will tell you C is a procedural language. But once you move from C to C++, C++ says that it is an object oriented. But C++ is not a fully object oriented concept actually, guys. C++ is not a complete, it's not a fully object oriented programming. So who is the first one to implement the complete object oriented programming style? It is Java, isn't it? Java, guys. Java is going to be the first programming language where it has been implemented a fully object oriented programming style. So what is the difference? What is the difference? And why the people has been adopted this object oriented? So nowadays, almost every language is working on object oriented style actually, guys. Then why it is going to be, why it is going to be that one? Why the people has been started adopting this particular object oriented? Why not the procedural language? So I don't want to go in details into the programming part, guys, but I'll just give an idea about that. Generally, the procedural style of programming means, guys, a procedural style of programming is going to be nothing but like what we are going to do is all functionalities, we are going to write it like a single block of program. So just like when you talk about the C language, actually, guys, something like we write some method like this, void main, and there only we are going to write all the kind of a functionalities. I'm not talking about the examples like finding sum of two numbers or finding greater of two numbers. I'm not talking about this actually, guys. Let us talk about the reality. So while you are learning C language, guys, they'll teach you a lot of examples. How to find whether a number is a prime number or not. How to find out whether a given number is an Armstrong number or not. How to display something called as an, what is that, guys? I didn't remember. The Fibonacci series actually. How to display that particular Fibonacci series actually. Okay, how to do the matrix multiplications. But you know that when you go to the real application, nobody is going to use as a program. Nobody is going to write a program to find out whether a given number is a prime number or not, or to find out the Fibonacci series or not. To display the Fibonacci series, nobody will ask you to write a program in the real applications. They are only just to understand the logics actually. They are mainly to understand the logics actually. So being the C language is generally the first programming language. Generally, anybody will learn in their life. Generally, if I'm learning C language means, guys, that is the first programming language I'm going to learn. Earlier we have it actually, guys. Earlier we used to, guys, it's a matter of 20 years back. So we used to use a language called as an Fortran. Sorry, Fortran is going to be the language actually, guys. Fortran. Okay, so which is going to be for scientific computing. It's an old language. Fortran, which is going to be basic, the Pascal. These are going to be the Pascal. These are going to be the older languages actually, guys. Now they're outdated. Now nobody is using basic. Nobody is using the Pascal. Nobody is using the Fortran. Nobody is using that. But in our time, 20 years back, 22 years back, in our engineering actually, guys, in our engineering nowadays, everybody is learning C language. So 25 years back, we used to learn Fortran as the language which we used to use it. So everybody, as part of their first year of engineering, we have to learn the Fortran language. So Fortran is going to be some kind of scientific calculations. For that particular purpose, they used to use it. But now it was outdated. Pascal, basic, all this has been got outdated actually. So whenever we are learning the C language means, the idea here is the person is learning a programming language first time. Generally, everybody starts with C language only. Prior to that, there is no languages are there. They may learn Excel, they may learn MS Word, they learn maybe they may learn something like in the PowerPoint presentations. They are not programming languages. So whenever you are coming into once you are entering into this particular IT sector or IT field, generally the first language everybody learns is C language. So being there are new to programming, being there are going to be new to the logics, to make the person to understand the logics and all these things, we uses that particular kind of a programming. So print the Fibonacci series, find out whether a given number is a prime or not. These kind of an examples, what we are going to be gets doing this actually. That is what generally we are going to be do that actually, isn't it? So just that's why I'm writing in a general way actually, yes. But in real application, it's not like this actually, guys. Like for example, just an example actually, guys. For example, I want to write a program, to write a C program to make enter all the marks. So enter the marks of 50 students, guys. Enter the marks of 50 students and find out what is going to be the total marks of 50 students. Each student is going to be having 3 marks. Let us say maths, physics, and chemistry. Let us say that there are going to be 3 marks are going to be there actually, guys. So generally, I'm not talking about, you may have written the programming of C language by taking only just one student information, adding the total, finding what is going to be the grade he belongs to. But it is not about one student, no guys. In real time, it's not about one student. In a class, you may have 40 students, 50 students you have. In a school, you may have 300, 400 students we have. So how to handle them actually? While you're learning C language, they'll tell you about a program to handle only one student at a time. But I'm having some around 50 students in a class, some around 300 students or 500 students in a school. Then how do you handle it actually? So further, let us say this actually, yes, I want to take the maths marks. So the maths marks, which is going to be not for one student, it is for 50 students I have to require. Okay, I'm not talking about the technical aspects. You can go for something called as an arrays, you can go about that. So I can define some array for maths. I can define some array for some other thing. For physics and the chemistry, like something like an ID, what is going to be the names, etc., etc. But let us say that I'm not going for arrays actually, guys. Now, if I want to store some around 50 student IDs, I have to declare 50 variables we have to declare, like ID1, ID2, ID3, ID4, ID5, something like that. Let us say that when you're working with the school, we are not only working, you're working on in a school project actually, guys. We are working only in a school project actually. So school project means it is not only going to be related to students, we are also going to be having some information about their, like for example, the books information, like how many books we are going to be selling in the store, or we are going to be having some kind of a teacher's information. So school is not only about the students actually, guys. So students, books, employees, teachers, we are having a lot of data. So again, teachers also going to be having some IDs. Okay, teachers are going to be having something like a salaries, etc. Books are going to be having something like a ID. What is going to be the book title? What is going to be the cost, etc., etc. will be there. So we are not working on a single subject actually, guys. We are having different subjects are there. Students, books, teachers, etc., etc. Normally in a procedural style of programming, all of them are going to be works under the same, it is going to be works under the same, what we can say, at the same level they will work actually, yes. Or under the same scope they will work. That means there only we are going to works with the students, there only we are going to be works with the books, there only we are going to be works with the teachers actually. All of them we are going to be working under the same block of code actually. Due to that, there is a lot of conflict between students and the teachers. For example, if I say name can be the name of a student, name can be name of a teacher or a name of an employee, or let us say instead of saying teachers, let us talk about employees actually. Let us talk about the employees. So in the same context, you are also going to be having a name of a book or title of a book. What is the ID? ID means it may be book ID, it may be a student ID, it may be a employee ID. But being we are working all at the same level, you will be getting a lot of conflicts between students, books, and teachers. All you are combining and working at a time. you're all working, combining your working at a time actually, guys. So that is a problem the people used to face whenever we are working with this concept of a procedural structures. So once the object oriented came actually, guys, what is the object oriented is talking about that. Why should you combine multiple? So student is going to be one entity. It's going to be one item actually, guys, which we call it as an entity. Books is going to be one entity and teacher is going to be one entity. So entity is nothing but like, I can say one item actually. We can say that one business item or something like that. So why you are combining all these entities in a single group and working? So what object-oriented programming style of programming is, don't combine multiple entities. Each entity will work in a separate scope. Each entity will separate them actually, guys. So for example, we have the entity of students. So all that particular student entity into one scope. All students, which is going to be books, which is going to be in one scope. And which is going to be nothing but which is going to be the teachers, which is going to be one scope actually. So whatever you want to work with the students, so you work within this scope only. Whatever you are working in the books, you work only within the scope only. Whatever the teachers related data, you work within the scope. So there is no conflict between student and the books, books and the teacher, teacher and the student, or teacher and the books. We don't have any confusion. We don't have any conflict with that. Because the whatever you are working under the students, you work under the student scope. Whatever you want to do under the books, you have to work under the book scope. Like that, everything is going to be separated as a separate entity. Each entity here is nothing but what we are going to call it as an object. In object-oriented style, actually, guys, each entity is going to be nothing but we are going to call it as an one object. So how do you define an object actually, guys? For example, in our real life, don't forget about the object-oriented programming. What is an object actually? In our real life, what is an object actually, guys? An object is going to be nothing but it can be any physical item, or I can say any physical item which we can touch and feel. Which we can touch and feel is going to be nothing but I'm going to call it as an object actually. Isn't it? Like for example of an object actually. Like for example, mobile is an object. Maybe let us say that a car is an object. Let us say a laptop is going to be an object actually, isn't it? So every item which we are going to touch and feel is going to be nothing but one item, one object, what we can say that. Every object, so for example, if I talk about the mobiles, whether I take my mobile or whether I might take my family members' mobiles, or whether I take some other my employees' mobiles, all of them are going to be mobiles only. All of them are going to belongs to the same category. All of them are going to be mobiles. But there is a different specification will be there. My mobile is going to be having a black color. Maybe my family member is having, which is going to be blue color. So my mobile make is going to be, let us say it is going to be an Apple. Whereas my family members, it is going to be, let us say, from the Samsung. I'm having a RAM of 64 GB. So other mobile is going to be having a RAM of 34 GB or 32 GB. So what I can say is every item is going to be, that means all the objects of the same category, all mobiles will have the same specification. Every item, every object is going to be having some specification actually, isn't it? So like something like an color, make, RAM, ROM, okay, some camera, etc., etc., etc. All cars are going to be having some common some specification. Values may be different, but specification is going to be the same actually. Like what is a car color? Every car will have a color. Every car is going to be made by some make. Like what is going to be the power? What is going to be the torque? What is going to be the fuel type? Okay, how many seats it's going to contain, etc., etc. will be there. Every laptop is going to be having a specification, like same color, make. Okay, what is the RAM size? What is the hard disk? What is going to be the ROM? Like what is going to be the size? Okay, some properties are going to be there actually, yes, isn't it? So object-oriented programming style says that whenever we are working with, like earlier case I told you about that. If I want to work with 50 students, you have to declare 50 IDs. But object-oriented style says that whenever we are working with the same object type, you need not to define the specification for multiple times, because the object of the same type will have the same specification. They will also have some ID. Every student will have an ID. Every student will have a name. I cannot say that one student will have an ID, one student does not have a name, and one student will have a physics mark, one student does not have a chemistry marks. Everybody is going to be having the same specification. Values may be different. The specifications are the same. So what the object-oriented style says is, define the specification only for one time. That specification is going to be nothing but what we are going to call it as a class. It's nothing but the specification about that, the specification about that object. What is an object? I told you actually, guys. An object is nothing but any item which we can touch and feel is what we are going to call it as an object. Every object will have some specification. That specification is going to be defined by your class. They are going to belongs to mobile class. For example, class mobile. It's a class mobile actually, guys. So I'm defining the class. I'm defining one specification about an item called as a mobile. So like something like what is the color, what is going to be the make, which company has been made it, and which is going to be something like an color, make, what is going to be the RAM size, what is going to be the, let us say, what is going to be the screen size, for example, etc., etc. will be there. So define the specification. This is going to be nothing but your specification actually, guys. That is going to be nothing but what we are going to call it as a class. Now, what is an object? As I told you, this is only the specification actually, guys. This is only a specification. I just defined the specification. Now, with this particular specification, if I create a particular item, that item is going to be nothing but what we are going to call it as an object. So with that particular specification, so I want to create an object from that particular mobile class, which will have a color, make, RAM, and size. That is what we are going to call it as an object. Technical definition is different actually, guys. The instance of a class, the technical definition actually, guys. Instance of a class is going to be nothing but what we are going to call it as an object. It's absolutely, the definition is also correct only, guys. So whatever that particular specification is there, with that particular specification, if I create one instance, what is meaning of just like an instance actually, guys? We can say that it's like a copy. So once if you create one instance from this specification, one object from item from this specification, that particular instance is nothing but what we are going to call it as which is going to be one object actually. So now what I'm going to say that, now let us say this is your specification actually, guys. I'm just talking in a general way. I'm not highlighting a Java or not highlighting some other language. Just an example I'm talking. Now let us say that I want to specify my object, my mobile, I want to define it actually. Let us say this, the name of the mobile is Vamshi, for example. The name of the mobile is Vamshi, for example. So whenever I want to define the Vamshi's mobile, the Vamshi's mobile has to be created from this particular class called as an mobile. Even if it is going to be some Suresh mobile is also, which is created from the same mobile class. So whether it is going to be some X mobile or whether the person X mobile or person's my mobile, all of them are going to be coming from the same class, which is going to be mobile actually. So generally, how do you create an object? This is a general style actually. So I'm not talking about programming part. Generally, I'm talking in a general way. Let us say that I want to define some X mobile. So mobile name is X, for example. So how do you define it actually, guys? Mobile X is equivalent to, which is going to be new mobile. So don't worry about the syntax actually, guys, but this is just a style of programming actually. So what I'm saying here is mobile X is going to be nothing but new mobile. So I'm creating an object called as an X. X is going to be nothing but an instance from the mobile class. X is nothing but object actually, guys, which is going to be defined or derived from this particular class called as a mobile class. Now, once if I create an object X, what is going to happen? So the X is going to be contains whatever the mobile properties are there, that will be automatically assigned to this particular X. Now X will contain color, and X will contain the make, X will contain the RAM, and X will contain the size, etc., etc. Now what is actually this X actually, guys? X is an object which is created from this particular class called as a mobile class. Now, for example, now I want to define another mobile. Let us say some Y mobile. No need to again say that it is going to be color, make, RAM size. No need to define it one more time. Even Y is also from the same class. Then I'll say that which is going to be mobile, which is going to be Y, is equivalent to new mobile. So again, I created one more object actually, guys. Now again, Y is going to be nothing but the name of the object. So X and Y belongs to the same class. So automatically, guys, objects which are going to be belonging to the same class will automatically contain the same properties as it is. Values may be different, but properties are same actually, guys. Now, whenever I create a Y actually, guys, again, Y will contain same properties, which is going to be nothing but color, make, which is going to be RAM, and which is going to be the size, etc., etc. Now, what is Y actually, guys? Y is an object which is again created as an instance from the same class called as a mobile class. So X is one instance, guys. Y is going to be another instance. But both of them are created from the same class. Both of them belongs to the mobile class. Then you may get a doubt. Sir, how do you differentiate between them? Very simple. If I want to represent the color of X, if you want to represent the color of, let us say, X person mobile, and if you want to define the color of the Y mobile, then we are going to use the dot notation, guys. So throughout the Python, we have to use a dot notation. That means throughout the object oriented, we'll follow a dot notation actually, guys. The dot is generally represents the hierarchy. Generally hierarchy actually, guys. X contains a variable called as a color, which is represented as X dot color. Then how do you represent Y color? It is differentiated as Y dot color. That's it. So you create as many objects you create, guys. You create as many objects you create, but specification is only one time, guys. You need not to define the specification for 50 mobiles for 50 times. All 50 mobiles belong to have the same characteristics. They will have the same kind of a properties. Then you define the specification for one time and use it as many times you can use it. You can create as many instances you can create. Like for example, let us talk about the students data, guys. I'm talking about a students data. Previously I said that you have to work with 50 students. So either we have to declare 50 IDs, 15 names, 15 maths, 15 physics, 15 chemistry. Otherwise we have one more technique. We have to create an array. So array with a size of 50, array with another size of 50, not required, guys. Simply I'm going to define a class called as n, which is going to be a student class. So here we are going to be having ID. Here we are going to be having a name. Here we are going to be having the maths. Here we are going to be having some physics. And here we are going to be having chemistry. Over. So this is going to be the specification of a student. Now let us define a specification about an employee actually.
एक मिनट में एक स्क्रीनशॉट भेजता हूँ देख ऐसा ही है ना.
Hello, are you speaking to me? Hello.
Someone unmute
Okay.
there.
Okay. Let me. Yeah. Like okay, let's go for this class, which is going to be employee. See, there also I'll define the name. There also define the ID. So here let us say that employees means, let us say they may have something like an HRA. I'm talking about the salaries. Let us say something like an HRA. Let us say TA, DA, something like tax, etc., some etc. actually. So if you observe carefully, guys, all the students are going to be under one class. All the employees are going to be another one class. So there is no conflict between student and an employee. Now ID means which ID I can specify. Now let us say that I want to define, let us say Vamshi is a student. Let us just an example. Vamshi is a student actually. So how do you create a Vamshi object? So same technique, which is going to be student. Let us say Vamshi is equivalent to, which is going to be new student. That's it actually, guys. So don't worry about the syntax. I'm just talking about in a general way. That's the style we write it actually, guys. Student Vamshi is equivalent to new student. Whenever I said student Vamshi is equals to new student, immediately the Vamshi object, here the Vamshi is the name of the object, guys. So Vamshi is an object which will be created And all these properties, all these specifications will be assigned. ID, which is going to be, or whatever it may be, guys. It's a name. Actually, name itself is Vamshi only. Actually, name is not required. Okay, otherwise we'll do one thing, guys. We'll remove the name actually. We'll remove the name because with the name only we are creating the object. But we know that there is a problem. It may be having two Vamshis, then what we have to do that, isn't it? So just an example I'm talking about. So ID, which is going to be the maths, which is going to be the physics, and which is going to be chemistry. So this is going to be one object that has been created. So this ID, maths, physics, chemistry are within the scope of the Vamshi. Now, how do you define his values? So I'll say like this actually, guys. Vamshi.id is equivalent to, let us say 1001. We should not say ID actually, guys. We have to always reference with its object name only. Then, which is going to be Vamshi dot, which is going to be maths. That means how many marks he has got in the maths. For example, 80. Again, same thing. Vamshi dot, which is going to be physics. What is his marks actually? Let us say it is going to be 72. And what is going to be Vamshi dot, which is going to be chemistry? Let us say that it is going to be 85, something like that. Sir, what about the other student now? Yes, you can have 50 students, no problem. 500 students, no problem. Now let us say that I'm defining another student actually, guys, which is going to be student, which is going to be, let us talk about who is Suresh. The student Suresh is equal to again a new student. A new student joined actually, guys. So Suresh is a new student actually. Student Suresh is equivalent to new student. Now what happens? We know that again Suresh will be defined, and again all that particular names will be there. ID, which is going to be again a maths, again a physics, and again a chemistry. So why I'm discussing all these things, how it is relevant to Python, I'll talk about them. Now how do you define the Suresh ID actually, guys? We have to say Suresh.id is equivalent to 1002. Suresh.maths, which is going to be something like n, which is 86. Suresh dot, which is going to be physics, which is going to be something like n 78. Suresh dot, which is going to be chemistry, which is going to be something like an 80, for example. What the point is? Now let us say that a new employee has been there. So how do you create an object from the employee? Same technique. Let us say there is an employee. Let us say some X is there. So what we are going to say this actually, guys. Employee X is equivalent to, which is going to be simply, we'll say new employee. Isn't it, guys? New employee. Now what is X is going to contain actually, guys? X will contain all the whatever the variables that are defined as part of this class, not from this class. So ID will be there, name will be there. Let us say that his HRA and his TA, DA, and something like a tax will be there. So how do you define his ID? X.id equals to some number, no problem. You can just define some number, 101. X dot, which is going to be name, some ABCD, something like that. What is going to be X dot HRA? Let us say 5000. What is going to be X dot, which is going to be DA? Let us say 500. X dot, which is going to be DA? Let us say 2000. And what is going to be X dot tax, which is going to be 200. Something I'm talking about in general way actually, guys. Hope all of you understood the difference, guys. So we are not saying that which is ID. I'll say that X.id, Suresh.id, something like Vamshi.id. But specification you're defining one time, guys. You are defining ID only for one time. You are defining the mass only for one time. I'm not using any arrays. You know what is the problem with arrays actually, guys? So once if you define an array with a size of 50, at that instant of time after creating, you cannot enter only one value at a time. You have to enter all the 50 values. All the 50 values we have to enter. Here it is not like that. You just define the student. You define that particular employee. Now one student is there. You create one object. Second student join. You create one more object. Third student join. Create one more object. Fourth student join. Create one more object. Dynamically, we can increase that particular numbers actually. How many students are there? 50. You keep on creating the 50 objects from the same class. But every object which we created, so here Vamshi and Suresh has been created from the instance of the student class, where X is defined or X is created by using a class called as an employee class. Classes are different. So when they have created from the same class, they will have the same specification. When they created from a different classes, they will have a different specification. They will have a different specification, guys. So you can see very clearly how we are going to be gets working with this kind of an applications, what we can see. Okay. So hope you understood a little bit about what is going to be this object-oriented style of concept, guys. Okay. So object-oriented says that, object-oriented style of programming says that, don't mix up all these entities. Like in C language, you have been entered, we have been combined all the entities actually, guys. So students, books, teachers, everything we define within the same scope. But here, everything has been defined separately. Class student is going to be separate object or separate class. Class employee, whatever you require for an employee, you define there only. Whatever you require for a student, you define there only. So your scope is only within the student class. Your scope is only within the employees class. There is no conflict between this one and this one actually. There is no conflict between this one and this one because it is Vamshi.id, this is Suresh.id, this is X.id. So X.id was created from a teacher's class. Suresh.id is created from a student class. Vamshi.student is also going to be defined by the student class. Okay, so let us come to the discussion, guys. These variables which are going to be handling the data, that means which they can store the data, they are nothing but what we are going to call it as attributes, guys. They are called as attributes. So how to access the attribute actually, guys? Your object name dot your attribute name. Vamshi.id, Vamshi dot which is going to be maths, Vamshi dot which is physics, Vamshi dot chemistry, something like that. Something like that, we have to work with them actually, guys. Okay, so attributes are going to be nothing but variables. Attributes are going to be nothing but the variables actually, guys. The variables which can hold the data or the variables which can store the data is going to be nothing but what we are going to be calling it as an attributes. So how to access the attributes from a variable from an object actually, guys? Object name dot what is the name of the attribute. You can set the value, you can get the value, guys. You can set the value, guys. It's like a normal variable, guys, but don't say ID, don't say which is name. It is object name dot ID, object name dot name, object name dot HRA, object name dot TA, something like that we have to use it. Okay. So hope you understood what is meaning of an attributes, guys. Attributes are going to be nothing but the variables which are going to be defined as a part of your class. So any object which is created from that particular class automatically can refer to that particular attributes, and those attributes are referred as, which is going to be nothing but object name dot attribute name. Now let us say that I want to do some manipulations with actually, guys. Like I want to find out what is a total marks. What is a total? Math, physics, chemistry. I want to add up these particular three totals we want to calculate. Here, I want to add up this HRA, TA, DA, and we have to subtract this particular tax. Some calculation we have to do. So here the calculation is with 3 numbers. Here the calculation is going to be with 4 numbers actually. Both are 3 arguments, 4 arguments there. Here it is always that addition, math, physics, chemistry. Here it is not HRA, TA, DA plus tax. It is HRA, TA, DA minus tax is going to be the calculation. Here also I'll find out the total, guys. Here also I'm going to find out the total. But this total is for adding of 3 numbers. But this total is going to be adding of 3 numbers and subtracting one of the number actually. So both of them are going to be doing some kind of a manipulations. So how do you do these manipulations actually, guys? So you can write the code. We can write that particular code. But instead of writing the code for repeated number of times, generally what we can do is, guys, we are having a concept called as a functions concept. We are having a concept called as a functions concept. Anyhow, guys, we have a more discussion about the functions in the later classes. As of now, guys, I'm not going to discuss much about the functions, but as part of our Python classes, we are going to be having a discussion about the functions concept. In a general idea, guys, I'm talking about what is a function. Yesterday we have used, guys, I have used a function called as a type. Okay, I have used a function called as an print. Print is a function, guys. Type is also a function. So if you want to know what is going to be the type of, what type of object it is, you are saying that it is a type of. if you want to print anything, we are just calling the function print. But internally, what code they have been written, what logic they have written, we never bothered. Somebody created, we are using it actually, guys. So we know that normally in our programming languages, how important is the functions. Functions plays a very important role, guys, because without the function, generally we cannot survive. Developers can't survive them, guys, because every time writing the code each and every time which is going to be writing the code each and every time, you cannot do it in the real applications. Okay, so that's why what we are going to be doing here is to reuse that particular code for multiple times. Write it one time and use it as many times you can use it actually. You can use it as many times we can use it actually, guys. So that particular concept is nothing but what we are going to call it as functions. Functions are basically, guys, some reusable code actually. Guys. Just let us talk about an example. In a general way, I'm talking about that. Like, which is going to be something like I'll write like this actually, guys. Let us say integer, which is going to be, I'm writing in a general way actually, guys. I'm not saying that it is going to be a part of Java or part of C language. I'm writing in a general way. So this is going to be something like this actually, guys. Int add num, int I or I, okay, whatever maybe, int I, comma, int j, something like this actually, guys. And we'll write some code actually, return some value, I plus j, I want to return it actually. So in generally in C programming, Java, etc., we'll write it actually. What is this int represents actually, guys? It int represents that this function is going to be returning an integer value. Add num is going to be nothing but the name of the function. And this int I and int j are going to be the inputs to this particular function. I'm making it generalized actually, guys. I want to make it generalized. You give me two numbers, I will add them and I'll give you. Return I plus j. So it is going to be write something called as a return. So this is return data type actually, guys. Now, if you want to call the function, just we'll say add num of 10, 20. So it will take, I will take the value from 10, j will take the value from 20. What it returns actually, guys, I plus j, which is going to be 30 will be returned. So if you want to add up, it's not only for adding of 10 and 20. It is going to add any two numbers actually, guys, 100 and 200. Then result is going to be coming as a 300. This is what generally we are going to call it as calling a function actually, guys. This is nothing but defining a function. We are defining a function like this. You can call it as many times you can call it. It's a very small code actually. But if you want to write a lengthy code also, we can write the lengthy code. So here the code is going to be just only one line of code. I don't really require a function. But whenever we are writing some kind of a lengthy codes, we have to require some kind of a functions we are going to be required, basically for reusability purpose. Okay. So that is going to be how we are going to be gets working with this action. Let us have a look at the working principle about that. Okay. Now why I'm discussing about that? Like for example, let us come to our discussion actually. So here I want to find out the sum of three numbers, but here I want to find out sum of three numbers and subtraction of another number actually. So I cannot satisfy, that means I cannot create a single function because functionalities are different. It is also we have to find out the total marks, and here also we have to find out what is going to be the total salary or some net salary, we'll call it as gross salary, net salary, whatever it is. Now the thing is, I want to create a function to calculate the sum of these 3 marks for the students. I want to create another function to find the sum of these particular 3 values and some manipulation with these 4 values with respect to the employees actually. So whenever we are writing a function like this actually, guys, you can use for any kind of a numbers, add num of 10, 20, add num of 100, 200, add num of 10, whatever you want, you can give it. Now the same function, if you write within a class, if the same function, if you write within a class, let us look at this one, guys. Again, I'm writing it actually, which is going to be class student. So again, I'm writing ID, name, let us say guys, simple M, P, and C, math, physics, and chemistry. These are the 3 attributes actually, guys. Attributes are nothing but variables. Now I'm going to create a function. This function I'm not creating outside the student class, guys. It is inside the student class. Let us say that I'm writing a function int, which is going to be find total. But this is part of your student class only, no? it automatically can recognize this. We need not to again pass it separately. They will automatically recognize them, guys. We need not to write it. If you write outside them, they can't recognize. Then see, guys, integer which is going to be find total, what it is going to return? It is going to return m plus p plus c. It is going to return this one actually. Hope all of you are able to understand it actually, guys. It's a function actually, guys. But this function has been written inside the class of the student class. When you write a function inside the student class, automatically this function and these attributes has been defined at the same level. So automatically these can recognize them, this can accept them, they can automatically access them. This is nothing but what we are going to call it as a method. Nothing difference is there, guys. Attributes are nothing but variables. Methods are going to be nothing but functions. But difference is, method means a function which is scope is defined only within the limit of that particular object only. Now this find total cannot be used for finding of sum of any numbers. It is only to find out only the sum of the math, physics and the chemistry marks only for that particular student's concept. Using this, I cannot find out what is a total salary that has to be given to the employees. We can't do that because this is within the scope of the student class. Now, same as it is, I'm going to be defining a class called as a teacher class or an employees class. I'm defining for employees class actually, guys. Let us say that. Same ID, it is a name and which is going to be HRA, TA, TA, and we have been discussed about what is the tax. These are your attributes, guys. Now, if I define a function called as an integer, which is find total actually, guys. For example, I'm talking about, guys. In the find total, if I write return, which is going to be m plus p plus c, I'll get an error. I'll get an error actually, guys. Why you'll get an error actually? We didn't pass any MPC manually. And this particular scope, this find total cannot access the members from here. This find total cannot access the members for my employees. We'll get an error. I didn't find any MP and C. Because this find total is only within the scope of employees, which can access only the members of this class. Whereas this find total is defined under the class of student, which can access only the members of that particular class. So what we have to say, we should not say m plus p plus c actually, guys. We have to say return HRA plus TA plus DA, which is going to be minus the tax. So we need not to specify that find total, you have to take this input. We are not passing any input to that. Directly, they are going to return a value. Now automatically, guys. Simple. Once again, I'll show you guys. Student, which is going to be X, is equivalent to which is going to be new student. Student X is equivalent to new student. So one object is created. Now X will contain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attributes, and X will also contains a method also actually. X also contains a method. Method is nothing but a function actually, guys. A method is nothing but a function. Now most of you people are already having the idea, guys. But from my side, again, I have to discuss because some people may not have the idea. That is the reason why I have been discussing about that. Okay. Now see now, what we are going to say, guys. Let us say that I'm going to say something like an x dot id is equivalent to 100. X dot, which is going to be name. Let us say that it is going to be Vamshi. Now, what is going to be x dot m? X dot m means mass marks, 80. X dot p, for my convenience, guys, I've written it. Let us say 72. And x dot c is going to be nothing but let us say 86. Now I want to find out some of these three values actually, guys. You need not to again write x dot m plus x dot p plus x dot c. If you want, you can calculate it. Instead of that one, what we are going to write, simply I'll call this function, guys, find total, sorry, x dot find total. Then automatically this x dot find total automatically, guys. I said m plus p plus c, but here in this case, m is, it is going to be x dot m. P, it is x dot p. X, c, it is going to be x dot c. Only within the scope of that object only. So what it is going to return? It is going to return 8. 8 plus 8, 16. 16 plus which is going to be 7, which is going to be 238. If I was not wrong, it is going to be 238 actually, guys. You didn't pass any input here, guys. It automatically calculates because we are restricting this to this particular scope. Again, you need not to pass x dot m, x dot p, x dot c. We need not to pass it actually. Simply, it is going to access that. That is an advantage. Now let us talk about the second student actually, guys. Let us say student y. Student y is equivalent to, which is going to be new student. Same procedure. Let us say y dot id is equivalent to 1002. Y dot name, let us say it is going to be Suresh. Now y dot m, which is going to be, let us say 82 something. Y dot, let us say p is equivalent to 90. Y dot c, which is going to be 75. Let us say this actually. Now how to calculate the total marks obtained by the y students? Again, same procedure. Don't say x dot, guys. You have to say y dot find total. If we said x dot find total, it will find out only the marks obtained by the x student. Y dot find total, it automatically says that it is 7. 8 plus 9 is 17. 17 plus, right? 8 plus 7 is 9. 17. 17 plus 7, which is going to be 247. The value actually. Hope you are able to understand, guys. So if I have a z student is there, z dot find total. So automatically this x dot find total will apply only this manipulation only with this x object only. Y dot, which is going to be find total, will do all the calculations only with the y object. So x dot find total does not get the values from y. Y dot total does not get the value from x. There is no such kind of an crossover. Hope you understood, guys. What is an advantage of object-oriented programming style? Okay, if you're already having the idea, it is well and good. But if you don't have the idea, I think it is going to be gets cleared actually. But still, some people are having a lot of a confusion and a lot of doubts actually. So I think now it has been got clarified actually. Now let us talk about this time students data, some teachers data or employees data. So I'm creating a new employee actually, guys. Employee, it's an employee A or employee E is equivalent to new employee. Employee E is equivalent to new employee. Now what I'll write, guys? E dot ID equals to 101. E dot name is equivalent to some ABCD, for example. Next, E dot, which is going to be HRA, is equals to 5000. E dot, everything is E dot actually. Yes. E dot TA is equals to, let us say 500. E dot, which is going to be DA, is equivalent to, let us say 200. And E dot, which is going to be tax, is going to be, let us say some 400 actually. Now I want to find out how much total we have to pay. So don't say which is going to be X dot find total, guys. Don't say Y dot find total to find out what is going to be this one. You have to say E dot total or E dot, which is going to be find total. Now E dot find total will works only within the scope of this E object only, not with some other D object. So what is this find total will do actually, guys? Automatically, what is going to be HRA there? 5000 plus 500 plus 200, 5700 minus 400, for example. It is going to return, which is going to be 5000. How much actually, guys? 300, right? 7 minus 4, which is going to be 300. It is going to return actually. But it is also find total. It is also find total. It is also find total. But this is returning a different value. This is returning a different value. This is returning a different value because this find total is only within the scope of E. So it always find out what is E dot HRA, E dot TA, E dot DA, and it is going to be minus E dot tax. Y dot find total will works only within the scope of Y only. X dot total will works only within the scope of X actually. No conflict, no confusion, no mismatches or no crossover, nothing is going to take place. Instead of that one, if you define all at a time actually, guys, all in a single block you define. ID means which ID. Find total means whose find total. Lot of confusion will come actually. That's why object oriented has been became a very popular due to this particular scope of defining actually. So the definition is going to be what we are going to call it as the class. The class will contain all this specification, guys. This is your class. Class contains your specification. So the variables which are going to hold the data, they are called as attributes. And the functions which are going to define the functionality or manipulations, they are called as method. What is the difference between method versus a function, guys? Method, function, both of them are same only, guys. Function means which is not bounded to any particular object. It can be used generally. Like for example, guys, yesterday I told you a function called as an len function. len function is not bounded to only with one object actually, guys. I can find out the length of a list. I can find the length of a tuple. I can use the length of. Generally, guys, easy to identify, I can tell you. For example, length of x, it's a function actually, guys. It is a function. For example, guys, if length is a method, then it is going to be, the usage will be like this actually, guys. The usage will be like this actually, guys. This is what we call it as method. Hope you understood the difference, guys. So whenever I said which is going to be the length, meaning that is this length function can be used only for this particular object only. You cannot use with another object. Another object means object of the same type. For example, if x is a list actually, guys. If x is a list, then if y, there is a y list is there, I can again say y lot length, because y is also list and which is going to be x is also list. But I have a z is there actually, guys. It is not a list. For example, it is a set. For example, if I said z dot length, it does not work, because the length is a method which is associated only with the list class only. So any object of the list can access it, but which is going to be not a list cannot access it. But I said that it is a function. So length can be used on a list, length can be used on a set, length can be used on any object, you can use it actually. So remember like this actually, guys. Function means which can use it in a general way. On any object we can use. But method means it is not like that. Only with that particular object only we have to use. Outside the object, it does not work. Outside the object, it does not work actually, isn't it? So we know that whenever we are talking about the objects actually, like for example, so whenever we are talking about, like for example, if I talk about a mobile is going to be having something like, for example, a mobile is there. A mobile is going to be having a property called as n, which is going to be what is going to be the what is going to be the storage. What is going to be the storage actually, guys? This is going to be the storage what we are going to be having. So storage means it can be there for mobile, or it can be laptop, or it can be a pen drive, or it can be something. But whenever we talk about something like n, which is going to be some other different class. For example, I'm going to be talking about a class called as a chair class. For example, a class called as a chair. A chair does not have any parameter called as a storage. We don't have it actually. So this storage is going to be accessible only from the object of mobile class. But storage cannot be accessible from the object which is defined from the chair class. Chair will have a different parameters. So like how many legs, what is going to be the color actually, color of the chair. Some chairs are going to be having maybe, so nowadays we are seeing it on, guys. Some of them are going to be having how many legs it contains, whether it contains 4 legs or 3 legs, something like that, isn't it? So something like that, every object will have its own parameters or specification. Objects which are defined from the same class, from the mobile, how many objects you define, M1, M2, M3, all of them will contain the same parameter called as a storage. How many objects you created from the chair, it is going to be C1, C2, C3. They will contain the same property called as in color. Values may be different, but specification is the same actually, guys. Okay, so it's already 9:30, guys. So almost like I can conclude the concept, guys, but it just takes a 10-15 minutes of time. So tomorrow we'll conclude this particular concept. And if anybody requires some additional discussion or additional learning, I can tell you some references for that. You can just go through those particular references and you can study them a little bit more about that. Okay, but no worries, guys. Even if you do not get a complete idea also, you can still handle that. Slowly, step by step, we can understand the techniques actually. And why I discussed about that, where Python is also an object-oriented style of programming. So why we are using them, you can see now, guys, when I said which is going to be, whenever I said which is going to be type of I, it's saying that class, it is saying that class called as a list. Why? Because they are objects actually, guys. I'll tell you. So tomorrow we'll discuss about them. And then we are going to be discussing about these methods actually, guys. X dot. We have some methods or no, guys? We'll discuss about the methods. Once I complete them, then I'll talk about lists, tuples, etc. We have a discussion. Okay. Yes, Tanmayi, I think, yeah, guys. That's it for the today's class, guys. It's already 9:35, so 5 minutes ahead. Okay, no worries. Just for today, we'll end up here, guys. And tomorrow we are going to discuss about that. Okay. Yeah, Tanmayi, I think already you have been joined earlier, right? I remembered your name, Tanmayi, right? Right? Yeah. So yeah, I already asked my backend team to share that particular details actually, guys. Already I have asked them to share them, but I think so. I was not sure about that, whether they have been shared that particular file or not. Let me do one thing. Just give me a sec. We'll create them, guys. Bharat will create them actually. I'll do one thing. Just give me a second actually. I have a drive is there, so I have some drive is there. So if it is possible, just I'll put it. Just give me 2 minutes, guys. I will share it into that drive so that everybody can access it also, so that you can access it instead of having some delay. Just give me a second actually, guys. Just give me a second. Please be online, guys. I'll share that particular details and all these things. Just give me a second, please. Right, guys. Right, guys. I'm going to share you the link, guys. I'm just sharing you the link. You can just click on the link, guys. I shared you the link, guys. You can just click on the link and you can get the access to that particular PDF file, guys. Okay. So just click on the link, guys. It will navigate to, it's going to be navigate to the full stack data science, which one? There you can check with all that particular details actually, guys. Like what is the duration? Let me share you the screen, guys. Just give me, guys, 2 minutes of time. Yes, guys. Just if you click on the link, guys, if you click on the link, you will be getting this particular document actually, guys. Just click on the link, guys, and you can just go through that. You can't edit them, guys. I didn't given the permission to edit it. So you can see the complete whatever the topics that is going to be discussed as part of the session actually, guys. Okay. And I can hope that as a follow-up mails, my backend team is also sending these particular details to you. So from there also we can access, guys, or no worries. You can just click on the link, and if you want, you can just copy the link and save it, guys. Whenever you require, you can just open it and you can verify them, guys. Fine, Tanmay. So hope you all of you are able to access the link, guys. So click on the link and access them, guys. Right, guys. Okay, guys. So anyone, guys, any more questions? So this drive and all these things, we are making it ready, guys. We are making it ready. So maximum, which is within 1 or couple of days, we'll close the batch. I think we have got the sufficient registrations actually. That is, next one is optionals. Because they have been, due to the festival, some people here and there, they joined a little bit. Some people earlier, some people lately, they have joined. So that's the reason why it has been got delayed actually, guys, or else it would be completed according to the schedule actually, guys. Right, guys, just for today, we'll end up the session, guys. And tomorrow we'll meet at the same time with the same link, guys. Thank you all of you, guys.